Hello, and welcome back to Sailing with Intention. Last time, you saw Intention get hauled out and put on the hard so that we could take care of several maintenance jobs. While it was on stands and safe from sinking, we needed to replace our dripless propeller shaft seal, replace a bunch of PVC fittings that a previous owner had installed below the waterline, and replace the zinc anodes that protect the metal parts of the boat from corrosion. We also wanted to repaint the bottom of the hull with anti-fouling paint. Anti-fouling paint inhibits growth of marine organisms on the hull of vessels. There are a variety of chemicals and technologies used to achieve this, but no matter what you put on the bottom of your boat, it will only slow growth. It will not prevent it forever. We hope to get about 3 years out of the anti-fouling that we applied to Intention, and we're definitely going to need to have her hauled out again in that time. We figured that if she's out of the water, there's no reason not to apply some more paint. There are two main phases to applying anti-fouling. First phase is to prepare the hull to accept the new paint. This starts with power washing to get rid of any soft growth and, of course, cautiously scraping any barnacles or other hard growth from the hull. Once you have the hull clean, it's important to know what kind of anti-foul is already there. Different types of anti-foul are not necessarily compatible, and you might wind up having your expensive new paint refusing to stick to your boat's hull. We knew that Intention had Micron CSC Antifoul by Interlux based on the paperwork we had on board, so we decided to stick with the same product. We went to the manufacturer's website to review their preparation and application recommendations, and in our case, the only preparation that was required was a light surface sanding. Our boatyard had signs up indicating that no power tools could be used for sanding or grinding. It seemed like we were the only ones following this rule, but hand sanding the hull didn't really take us that long. Dallas and I were able to finish the sanding in about 3 hours. For reference, Intention is a 42-foot sailboat with a 6.5-foot draft and about a 14-foot beam. So you can compare using your own sailboat's relative size and probably come up with an estimate of how long it would take you to sand your hull. We have 3 small osmotic blisters on our keel and 1 on our rudder. During our pre-purchase inspection, the surveyor suggested we take pictures of the blisters whenever we haul out Intention so that we could compare the blisters with their growth from the last time. If they aren't getting any worse, we don't need to grind them out and repair the epoxy. Intention's blisters had not gotten any bigger since our survey, and Dallas looked at them and said he didn't think it was worth repairing them at this point. That said, a haul out like this is the time to repair any significant imperfections in your hull. If we have Intention hauled out for a longer time period, like hurricane season, we'll probably grind out the small blisters and repair them. Oh yeah, I also forgot to mention that before you paint the hull, you really should mask off the waterline. You can see the green tape we used to do that. The next phase is to actually apply the anti-fouling. We used Intention's size to calculate how much anti-foul we needed. The Interlux website had a calculation tool that suggested that for a boat our size, 1.5 liters of Micron CSC would be needed to apply 3 coats of anti-foul. A US gallon's about 3.8 liters, so that really didn't seem like enough. We also wanted to apply more like 5 coats and wanted to double up each coat at the waterline and along leading and trailing edges of the hull and keel for better longevity. Our instructor Gord said he used 2 gallons of anti-foul to put 5 coats on his 32-foot boat, so we bought 3 gallons of Micron CSC. We're really glad we did because the Interlux estimate was far too conservative. We were easily able to apply 5 full coats to the hull and extra coats at the waterline and all leading edges, but we used all of the 3 gallons. Each layer was applied using a roller, making sure to get an even coat that was not too thick. It's generally better to apply more thin coats than to hope that one thick coat will somehow not run or drip. Each coat was allowed to set overnight before a new coat was applied the next day. Fortunately, it didn't rain for us until after the last coat of anti-foul was applied, so we didn't have to tarp the boat to keep rainwater from dripping across the freshly applied anti-foul. One important thing to remember is that your boat is supported by jack stands, and each of the stands has a pad against the hull. You obviously can't paint under the pad, and Dallas pointed out the very obvious bare patches where the pads were located on the last bottom job. He said that some people even wait until the boat is in the slings before launching, then roll on a thick coat where the pads were, hoping that it'll dry enough before the boat goes in the water. We really didn't want to do that, so we talked to the boatyard staff, and they happily agreed to move the stands after we had already put several coats of paint on the hull. Before they moved them, we doubled up antifoul on the places where the pads would be moved to because we wouldn't be able to paint there later. After the stands were moved, we hand sanded the bare patches and rolled on extra layers of antifoul in the spot the pads were originally located as we rolled on the final coats to the rest of the hull. There's obviously a limit to how much antifoul you want to apply to your boat, but we're glad that we took the time and applied 5 good, solid layers of antifoul to Intention. I think you'll agree that she looks amazing with her new bottom paint. Redoing the antifoul was a lot of work, but it wasn't really hard work or technically challenging work. Anyone can do it, and it can save you a lot of money because of the number of hours of labor involved. All told, we spent on the order of 20 hours or so sanding and painting, so at an assumed labor cost of $125 an hour, we avoided about $2,500 in labor costs. Of course, boatyard workers would probably be faster than we were, so it might not take them the full 20 hours to prepare and paint the hull. Join us next time when we're going to show you the potentially nerve-wracking process of splash day, the day where Intention is lifted off the stands and placed gently back in the ocean, where she belongs. See you next time.